Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of race action at Canada's legendary Victoria Day Speedfest at an equally legendary venue, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Hi, everybody. Greg Kramer, joined by Calvin Fish, Ryan Marine, down in pit lane. And this weekend has been consistent so far in terms of being chilly. We've had different cloud cover levels, but it's brisk. It's certainly brisk this morning, Cal. Before we get more into that, let's talk about what was a fascinating qualifying session to start with. That kind of kicks things off. What a battle for the pole.
It really was. We have 5 of the 8 manufacturers represented in the top 5 spots on the grid, so there's great parity there, certainly. But it came down to really a battle between Nikolai Alganian and Spencer Pumpelly for the pole. And curious thing happened during the qualifying session. Pumpelly had the pole position. He was asking his team, how are we looking? They were looking at Nikolai to see what he could come up with. He was not putting down personal best sectors. Then they realized their timing and scoring had frozen. So suddenly, by the time they realized that Nikolai had put in a late flyer in that session, Spencer didn't have time to react, so maybe he can turn the tables a bit here at the start of the race.
And that, of course, establishes the grid for the 6th round of the Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint Championship, the old historic format, 1 driver, 50 minutes of racing. Good qualifying effort by Michael Cooper alongside Shane Lewis. Michael has had to fight hard to come up through the field in previous efforts. Ian James qualifies 5th. Top AM qualifier, Jared Andretti in the 6th spot, and a good run for him. That's the other side of the coin. The top 2 overall, a bit of a gap back to the rest of the field. In the AM category, the top 3 qualifiers covered by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it's really tight. I mean, qualifying's one thing, race is a different thing. Everyone's had a chance to get a reset on their setups as well. But the top 2 look to be in a little bit of a league of their own, about a 5/10 delta between those and the rest of the pack. But then the next 6 cars are separated by like half a second, so that should be an extremely good battle to look for today.
Absolutely, and a great qualifying run by Jason Bell in the Global Motorsports Group Porsche 718 Cayman. Best qualifying of the year for him after switching at the start of the season the first couple of rounds from the Audi. So a good run there as you take a look at the rest of the starting field. Really cool this morning. That KTM crossbow that Alganian drives, very quick but very light. And with these cold temperatures and these cold track surfaces, I think he's in for a workout in the start, isn't he?
He really is. I mean, his key sector, this racetrack is broken down into 3 sectors. You got from the start-finish stripe all the way down through turn 5, Moss Corner. Then the back stretch is sector 2. But the 1st and 3rd sectors are where he rules. That car is so quick around the corners. So if he can get the jump into turn 1, he should be able to go to work there through that 1st sector. But tire temperature will be the key for him. It's lightweight, as you said. That doesn't mean that what it means is it doesn't generate the energy into the tire as quickly as someone else. So if you kind of think about what may happen here, if Spencer could get the jump, it may take Nikolai a couple of laps to get tire temperature into those Pirelli P0s, and then he should be back on pace with Spencer. So,
and he certainly has been up to the task in terms of that pace. We saw right at the back of the field Nate Stacy driving the Core Autosport Forge Line Grand Sanitation Mustang. Actually, in the post-qualifying tech was just a smidge low, didn't pass the ride height test. However, has had great pace here. And would have qualified well up the order.
Yeah, that's a shame because I really thought that he could have been someone who could have gone after this front row pairing. The Mustang developed by Multimatic, that's their local track here, so they've got a lot of lap time here, and the car had been looking really good this weekend. Nate is now driving in the sprint races as opposed to the Sprint X with obviously Golinello's unfortunate accident at VIR. We wish him well, and we understand he may be back in about a month's time, so hopefully we'll see him back in action pretty soon.
Just saw a look at the remarkable turn 2-3 complex here, one of the legendary corner complexes globally. There is a look at Nikolai Alganian as he sits behind the wheel of that Marco Polo Muellerized KTM crossbow, brand new, the newest derivation of that car, and they are still sort of tweaking and coming up with it. Again, this is the 6th round of the championship. It's a doubleheader weekend. This is the first race. The reason we're a little off sequence with some of the others is Long Beach was a 1 race weekend, and so that's why that is set up. But again, 50 minutes, no driver changes. This is all about outright sprint racing.
It is, and for Spencer Pumpelly, who sits on the outside of that front row, he wants to rebound. He had an unfortunate weekend at VIR where he didn't score any points and has dropped him from the top of the order all the way down to 4th. So it's not game over, but certainly that's a big hit to take, and he wants to rebound here. You know he's going to be looking for the win and the maximum point score.
Look there at Michael Cooper, who has said many times this year, we're punching above our weight just a little bit in the races. The car has not been quite on the pace of the other cars as we get the command to start engines. but he has driven some mega opening laps. Long Beach was absolutely phenomenal, but he repeated the process to a degree at VIR and has been earning some good points.
Well, he's a driver who's certainly not afraid to go for it on cold tires and really find the maximum threshold with that race car. He was actually quite frustrated. I stood there in pit lane after qualifying finish, and he got out of his car and walked down and gave Spencer a little talking to. He feels that Spencer balked him on his fast lap. But Spencer was looking for some clean air, so he said, you should know better than that with the experience. So there might be a little bit of a rift there between those two guys if they get going at it here today.
And here's another thing to just keep in mind, looking at big picture. The points leaders are tied coming in here. Ian James qualifying only 5th. More notably, perhaps Gar Robinson back in 9th. He had that huge weekend here last year with podiums, albeit in a different chassis. He just hasn't looked quite as comfortable in this Camaro GT4 here. He's been great everywhere else.
He has. I mean, he's had 4 podiums out of the first 5 races, so he's been very, very consistent. But yesterday in qualifying, I think they just missed on the setup a little bit. I was watching down in turn 1 for half the session, and a couple of times he came in there and literally almost went off and had a big one. So this is a racetrack that you need a lot of confidence in, and if the car is not giving it to you on entry to these high-speed corners, particularly this section through here, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, you slow down quite a bit, then down the hill through turn 4, you need the balance in the race car, and I'm not sure that George was found it there, but with a 2-car team, he can lean on Shane Lewis's team out, who did qualify well up in the 3rd position, to see what setup he was working. Maybe they'll be able to tweak on that with Jimmy Fraser and the boys.
And we saw that great battle at VIR, if you tuned in, between Jared Andretti and Matt Fosnot in the AM category cars that were right at the sharp end of the field at VIR. They had a great battle until Andretti had a little bit of an issue. They start right next to each other. You throw in a very fast Drew Stavely. That battle, those 3 cars in particular, I think this could be something special.
This could get a bit tasty here today.
Let's not forget Brynjolfsson too. He's right in that mix and pretty motivated after the Sprint X race yesterday.
Yeah, he was leading turn there, coming off the final corner by Matt Fosnot. So they're kind of only 1 row apart on the grid too. Lots to look for.
Racing memory can be very long at times, can it? Field working now up through the Andretti straightaway. And let's take a look at this track, Cal. It's a legendary venue and so fast.
So fast. You see that first sector there we talked about. That's where Nikolai Algany is super fast there through those high-speed sweeps. Then sector 2 is all about straightaway. You're on the gas. It weaves a little bit up at the Andretti straightaway, but that's all about horsepower and low downforce coming up there. And then into this turn 8, very high-speed right-hander that they're approaching right now. Through that final sector, you need good rhythm there. You need the car to transition, change direction really quick. And then the key is to get off that final corner, but the final corner has become quite a good opportunity for making a late race pass, because you have to open up the door to get the speed out of there. A lot of people dive down the inside. This is the one we're talking about.
Yeah, right here. And if you get it wrong, well, we've already seen this weekend what can happen. When you get it right, it can be a very satisfying move. And the amount of speed you flow into turn 8, there's not a lot of decel coming out once you get to the top of the Andretti straightaway.
Yeah, I actually had an interesting conversation on pit lane yesterday talking about the crossbow and where it's quick, and saying, well, it's not as quick as the others down the straightaway. And then one of the engineers piped up, yeah, but he's as fast through the corners he's through down the straightaway. It's like one speed around the whole racetrack.
Exactly. Yeah, this place is, for a lightweight, agile car, this place is just pin it and hang on kind of racetrack. And then you've got the one fairly tight sequence, Moss Corner, that really a double apex corner that this is the exit of 2 into turn 3 that they're working. We're watching the exit of 3. Moss is a little bit different story and very tricky in its own right.
It is. It's you know, you think you can make a move down to the inside there. We'll get to that in a moment as the cars transition here through turn 3. But you come down into Moss, big compression at the bottom of the sweep through turn 4, then uphill as you see it right here, right where that patch is just before, right where the safety car is right now, the Acura NSX, right there. You're on the brakes, then there's that big compression. If you get down to the inside and then you try and cut the wheel tight, you typically end up getting into the side of the other competitor. So you've got to really time your move very well. Then you float the speed up through here when Michael Cooper is right there, and then just try and get back on the power early for that launch up the Andretti straightaway.
And it's huge to get out of Mosswell, so if you overrun the entry, you're slow all the way up to turn 8, aren't you?
Yes, you need to develop a very wide car, otherwise you're going to get blown by.
All right, well, lights out on our official safety car, the beautiful Acura NSX. In the field now starting to pair up, and this front row duel down into turn 1 should be absolutely fascinating. They both know what they need to do here, and it's just a matter of who's going to execute.
Well, if one of them get the jump off the line, that'll be one thing, but if they're side by side, look for Spencer maybe do the rim shot around the outside, then have the inside line for turn 2. I think he knows that Nikolai will be struggling for grip in the early couple of laps. He'll want to try and get that lead.
And conversely, if Nikolai can stay in the front and manage to fend off Spencer and the rest of the field for a lap till he gets a little bit of heat in those tires, it could be a big day for him. So we're set to go.
It looks nice and sunny, and it should be bright and warm, but it isn't. It's only 51 degrees out there ambient, so a very brisk morning as these drivers get set for the start.
Yeah, about 10 degrees Celsius. Pace car is in. Field now under the control of the front row. Elganian in that black crossbow. Pumpelly in the blue Porsche. And the rest of the field coming up. We are green, racing for 50 minutes.
Cooper,
and
a big jump
again. And Elganian looks like he may have it.
Andretti, a big move around the outside. He's up to 4th already. Pumpelly looking for that inside move into turn 2.
He's there, but can he make it stick? No, Elganian sweeps around. Cooper looked for a moment to try the outside of Pumpelly, and you're right, a huge start by Andretti.
Well, he's not afraid to get up on the wheel early. I think that comes from his sprint racing career. Short races, you have to make it happen immediately. Nikolai Elganian, this is very impressive in that lightweight car, getting the speed out of the car. This is where he's really strong.
Ooh, way tight to the inside, but I think that was, he just carried so much speed through 4. He had to give the car a little bit of rein. How about the start by Drew Stavely in that G3 Ian Lacey Racing Mustang, 8th to 5th?
That's amazing. As we said, the Mustang would be strong around this racetrack, developed by Multimatic, who are based here in Toronto. Nate Stacey coming from the back of the pack, having qualified very well here yesterday.
And Nate's already picked up 6 spots at Fasnacht. A problem down at the, and he's got something broken at the back.
Yeah, I wonder if there's contact in his left rear, causing that wheel to tow out.
He's trying to limp it around, get it down into pit lane. You can see a bunch of debris on the track in the background. And we are full course. We are full course caution as a result. So early incident.
And Spencer got around Elganian, so maybe he got to run up that back straightaway and got to the inside. And let's take a look. Look further back. Oh, he's off in the dirt there early. It's very wet. They are warned of this in the driver's meeting, Greg. As you come through turn 6 there, it's just like really muddy with the amount of rain they've had here recently. Not sure if he just got out wide and then just got in a trench and that turned him into the fence.
And the other question is, we didn't see the pass of Pumpelly on Elganian, and it depends on when those yellows came out. We'll see if there was any kind of a scenario there. They're both pretty savvy drivers. And I didn't see what started the incident with Fasnacht in that orange McLaren. Is the field again under control of the safety vehicle at this stage?
Fasnacht coming off a sweep of the weekend at VIR, where he was so impressive. And he's been fast here again this weekend, but certainly the racing luck has not been on his side. See a little bit of damage there to the right rear of Nikolai's car. I would suspect that maybe Spencer just got to run up the Andretti straightaway where he should be quicker. Look at the mud and debris that's been thrown across the road there by Matt's incident.
The field working very carefully around as the emergency vehicles are on course. Again, Stavely, watch it. Oh, he just lost it.
That's a weird angle.
Isn't it? I wonder did something break?
Yeah.
And pitched him off, yeah.
Yeah, that's... Great catch by the camera guys there to get that one.
It certainly was. And that's an area where, I mean, you basically straighten the wheel out coming out of Moss and are just feeding it throttle.
Cold tires, as we've been talking about already, but that was just kind of a weird reaction from the car, like something was amiss.
Of course, the other question we have is, where did Mr. Pumpelly sneak around Nikolai?
I bet it was right there.
Yeah, I think, and it could be just getting out of Moss if Nikolai didn't get the run with cold tires. Spencer got it squared up and went. But nonetheless, changes the dynamic of things just a little bit here. Pumpelly, Elgany, and Cooper, your top 3 overall, with Andretti leading Stavely in the AM category. Fosnot was able to move his Mercedes under its own power, but the cleanup of the debris and dirt and mud down on the track at the exit of Moss is why we continue to run under the safety car right now in the 6th round of the Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint Championship.
This would have been perfect for Nikolai if he'd maintained the track position.
Yeah.
Just to under the safety laps, you can maintain a little bit of tire temp versus being released from pit lane for the start of this race. He's pretty poised. He's a really fun character. He reminds me of Daniel Ricciardo from Formula One.
Yeah.
In terms of his look and his demeanor, and always a big smile on his face. Loves his racing, and he's not intimidated. I mean,
no.
he's okay being the leader of the pack.
Yeah, he doesn't have any issues with that. And that was his 3rd career pole. He had both poles in the AM category of the GT4 class at Lime Rock last year. But this was his first pro pole and first pole of this season. And another driver to give another nod to here, Nate Stacey, before that caution came out, from 17th to 10th. And this will help him a lot, won't it?
Yeah, it just compresses the pack again, so it's like he almost starts the race from 10th versus the very back. So he'll be a happy camper.
All right, and the track crews doing a great job here of trying to get as much of that cleaned up. They would probably, at the exit of the Moss corner, keep a surface flag, which is, if you look at it, it's the yellow and red stripe flag that indicates that there's just been a change in the quality of the surface. As for a lap or two to remind the drivers, they're all fairly savvy, so I think we can be getting back to green relatively soon, Cal.
Moss on the track, maybe.
Okay, here we go. Pumpelly, by the way, best lap of the race, a 31 flat, essentially, on the lap when he came up. And as we said, found himself in the lead.
That was from the initial start, of course. That's some 8 seconds off what these lead 2 are seeing in terms of 123s during qualifying.
And with Spencer, this is where he likes to be, isn't it? He likes to be leading, where he can control the race just a little bit.
Well, we anticipated this. I thought maybe Spencer would get to the lead a little bit earlier in the lap, and then I think this could be a real class by Spencer in terms of driving from the lead with a very fast car behind him. And Nikolai's a quick learner, though.
And we are hoping to find out just how that plays out when we hopefully go back to green very soon here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And the safety crews have cleared the area here. Let's watch for the lights on that safety car and see if they go out, and that we could possibly get back to green flag here. Clock continues to tick, 50-minute timed race. You see the signal from the passenger. And their pace car looks like it's accelerating away, but it looked like the lights were still on. It looks like we're going to have to end up doing another lap of caution, apparently. While we're under caution, let's check into pit lane. Ryan Marine.
Yes, and unfortunately, we're talking with Matt Fosnot much earlier than we would have liked. Matt, what happened out there?
Unfortunately, I just made a mistake. You know, you really try not to make mistakes on the first lap. I think I got a tough start, and maybe I was trying a little bit too hard. Coming out of turn 5, there's a big drop off the curb and a little bit of mud, and I've hit it many times before, but this time it's just a little bit too much. And to save it, I had to drive it into the mud more, and then the mud hit me into the wall, and I think I must have had wheel in it because it just caught the front wheel. Otherwise, the car there's like no damage except the front left wheel.
So no concerns about being able to compete in race 2?
No, I don't think so. No, shouldn't be a problem.
Sorry to see you out so soon.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. Thanks a lot.
One other update quickly, guys. There is a problem, it looks like, for Nate Stacey. You mentioned he had such a great start to the race. They think they might have a tire puncture. They were unsure if it was just low tire pressures or picking up debris or perhaps an issue with cold brakes. They ultimately did elect to bring him in since they had this extra lap of yellow to check it out. So Nate Stacey in the pits right now, and they're going to work on the right rear.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, and good call. If there's any question on a track of this speed and consequence, you feel there's anything amiss with the car, you want to make sure.
Yeah, it's a shame that they waited this long. Maybe that's the only time they got the information to be able to make the call. There you see Dean Martin on the radio giving Nate, who's behind the wheel, obviously, some information about what they're seeing. Key is going to be getting him back out there and closing up to the pack if we do go back to green here immediately.
He's got to be chasing this field fairly significantly here to catch them, assuming we do go green this next time by. Yeah, they're still checking on it. Down and away he goes.
He felt something was amiss for sure. You can see the mechanic there.
Yep.
Trying to see if there's anything loose in the suspension department. Get a lot of leverage with the mechanic on the outer edges of the tire, just giving it a good wiggle like that.
And Nate certainly has great car control and great speed, so yeah, if he felt there was some sort of an issue there, they must have been something he could seriously feel. Notice there is a white flag at that corner station, which generally means there is a safety vehicle on track as the lights continue to stay on the safety car. And at this late stage of the lap, that usually indicates we're going another lap under caution as time continues to tick away.
Good news for Nate Stacey. He'll be able to close up if the car is healthy and have another crack at the pack from the back, obviously, but here he comes. Very gingerly there through. I'm not sure he's still sure the car is okay.
Yeah. All right, as we have the number 53 Mercedes on the back of the flatbed, let's get back down to pit lane and check in with Ryan.
I just checked with Dean Martin, who is the team principal for Core Motorsports, to see what the issue for Nate Stacey was. And Nate's been on the radio saying when he goes to the brakes, it makes the car turn to the right. They thought it was a right rear issue. They took a look, as you guys saw just a moment ago when they brought him in. Couldn't find anything wrong. They sent him back out. He's still having the same sensation. So he's about to come back to pit road. They're going to take a look at both sides of the rear now to see if they can diagnose what the problem is. But it's a real shame because he had jumped a bunch of spots on that opening lap before the caution.
Yeah, it could be the left rear if there's a tolling issue as he's jumping on the brakes and that's kicking out a little bit. That'll kind of make it turn to the right if that toes out. Very much like Matt Fastnap. Matt thought the front was broken, but you could see on the flatbed as they were taking the car back to the paddock that it was actually the left rear that had taken the hit on that Mercedes.
And that shot explained why we continue under the caution as they cleaned up the debris down in that corner, but it just took a while to get that car up and on that flatbed. And he comes in and stops, and now they do go to that left rear cal and take a look at that.
Yeah, if something's loose and he's getting on the brakes and suddenly the left rear just towing out a little bit, making a turn to the right. But they're a great group led by Dean Martin. Core team is very strong and just disappointing coming off a great qualifying run yesterday to get pushed out with a technical infraction.
And Dean Martin, the team manager and team principal, is a hands-on guy. You see him? He's the one who's underneath that car right there.
And that's great to have someone who's so into it, great driver, can really relate to what the driver's feedback is.
And the lights are out on the safety car. We are looking forward to going green here in this sixth round of the Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint Championship. Spencer Pumpelly leading pole sitter Nikolai Alganian and Michael Cooper up to the line. And green flag flies. We are back and at it here. Watch down into turn one.
But Nikolai can just roll that speed through turn one. He's all over the bumper of Spencer. Gapping the two McLarens a little bit here. Cooper in third, Andretti fourth. Nikolai's smile will be even bigger right now. He's loving life. That car is hooked up.
Looks like he can place it pretty much almost anywhere he wants right now.
Kiefer Spencer is just getting to turn 5 with the track position. Then he can probably relax a little bit.
Oh, I thought he was going to look down that inside.
That seems to be his braking point. It seems like he likes to brake more in a straight line and take a different approach to Moss Corner. This is where I feel that Porsche Cayman should stretch its legs a little bit compared to the crossbow.
And Shane Lewis in that 74 Ranch Resort Camaro, the first Camaro there, has been hounding Stavely in the Mustang, trying to get by in this opening lap. And look at Spencer, open that lineup. There's that piece of bodywork off the car.
Yeah, that's good news for Nikolai.
Oh, and there goes Lewis. Cleared him. Right behind this orange and white McLaren is the multicolored Chevrolet Camaro with that orange nose, just now coming into turn 10, has gone around the Mustang here. And these two up front, pretty much what they did in qualifying, Cal. They're just opening that margin up, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's what we saw. We wondered if anyone could close that gap, as Nikolai is even closer now to Spencer. Looks to the inside. He's starting to get that tire temperature. His car should be coming to life right now. Racecraft will be the key for Spencer Pumpelly here today. Not sure he's going to really know what sort of delta he's dealing with in terms of these apex speeds, though.
Well, the message here looks pretty clear, doesn't it? Nikolai pretty much believes if he can get through, he can leave.
You've got a pair of McLarens in the battle between the American muscle cars. Chevy ahead of Ford right now. Nikolai just likes that straight line approach into Moss.
Now onto that straight. This is where Spencer is able to ease away just a little bit.
I think Spencer realized if he just keeps hitting his marks and doesn't make a mistake, it's going to be a long race for Nikolai to try and find an opening. This is where it'll gap once again, then Nikolai will be back on it by the time they probably get to the last corner.
I just love that shot, that speed shot of the cars whistling through. Andretti continues to lead that AM category in that orange-nosed Endurance Auto Warranty. Andretti Autosport McLaren sitting 4th overall.
Another impressive run by him. Every weekend he gets better and better, stronger. First time in Canada, first time at this racetrack. Says he's loving breakfast here. He likes the Belgian waffles. I guess he's a bit of a connoisseur about that, so we'll have to find out where he's grabbing.
Yeah, no kidding. Ooh, Cooper a little wide there. And Pumpelly, by the way, just reset fast lap at a 24.4. Pretty much because he has to. It's the pace of Elganian right here.
That's right. Nikolai's not far behind him. Taken off from the pack, demonstrating a similar sort of advantages to what we saw demonstrated in qualifying by these two. He's just tossing that little crossbar around.
It really does.
Having fun with it.
It's so easy on tires. And then that group behind them, led by Cooper, and I mean, that's a 5-car train right now. Cooper in the black McLaren, and Andretti in the orange-nosed McLaren, the orange-nosed Camaro right there, and then the black and white Mustang of Stavely.
You got the championship leaders who are tied right now coming into this race. There they are, going for position right now. So this could be for the championship lead at the end of this race, potentially.
Look here, oh, look at this. Like, thinking about the outside into 8. Quite able to get it done, and Cooper's closing up a bit.
Yeah, this is,
this is where the caution happened.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, look how close that was.
Yeah, he clipped him. That's
where the damage came to the right rear of Nikolai's car. Michael just came out onto the front straightaway, didn't realize we were under yellow, and I think that initial replay was maybe of that first lap where Pumpelly did get around and grab the lead, Greg.
I think you're right. I think that was more the pass. Yeah, and then that yellow came out. Surprised Cooper just a little bit, so caught out by a replay. Happens every once in a while, isn't it?
Tell you what, though, Nikolai's now he's got the tire temperature. I think he's more confident in that car in terms of his approach into Moss Corner. He's taking the more traditional line. I think earlier in the race, very smart. He's just really straight lining it. He didn't want to be turning and braking and maybe losing the grip in the car on the approach to Moss Corner.
And in the back, Stavely looks to be struggling a little bit. His first pass by Lewis. His And now both James and Gar Robinson and the team car to Lewis have been able to slice through.
Brynjolfsson there, the bright yellow Volt racing car, is having a nice strong run.
Yeah, third in the AM category for Allen in that entry. Andretti leads it. Stavely still second in the class, but dropping in the overall order a bit as we look at Michael Cooper, the black number 10, the McLaren from Black Dog Speed Shop, chased by Andretti.
He's got word from pit lane from Ryan that the car of Nate Stacey is out with a broken piece on the subframe, so something was tweaking as he was getting into the brake zone. So that was what he was feeling, and the team were trying to analyze exactly what was wrong. He'll see no further action here today, but try and rebound for tomorrow.
That's
Difficulty is, of course, with this traditional format, Greg, your fast lap today determines your grid, so it's going to be a long day for him again, starting from the back tomorrow with no representative lap time on the board.
Here's the scrum heading up into Moss. Just to update you, Elganian now has reset fast lap, taking it back at a 124.27. Although Pumpelly has eased away just a little bit here. And then Cooper is sitting third. Ian James, it looks like that red, white, and blue Panos Avizano is starting to wake up just a little bit.
I spoke to Ian after qualifying yesterday. Say we're just struggling for top speed here, and just in sector 2, the one that they just completed up the Andretti straightaway. So that's where I really can't do anything. But the rest of the lap were pretty strong. But he again is super savvy, so much experience in that little group right behind Andretti with Shane Lewis. Then you have Ian James there looking for more from that Panos. Looking at lap times, Greg, really nice lap by Alan Brynjolfsson. Down in the 24s, that's about third fast right now, so that would give him a great grid slot for tomorrow if it maintains.
That's a superb lap, and Elganian again, doesn't take long to close back in. James showed the nose to Lewis heading into turn 3. Two very savvy drivers, and it looks like Gar Robinson may finally, something may have clicked. He really is starting to show some pace in the second of those Robinson Racing entries, the number 74.
Yeah, the car looks much more stable, and as it should. He just didn't look happy in qualifying, so maybe they missed on setup or tire pressure yesterday. Now he's right in the thick of the battle, and he is enjoying life. They made that move to the Camaro mid-season last year, starting 2018 with the Mercedes AMG, and just got a lot more laps, a lot better notebook to work with. They seem to be strong every single weekend now, and Gar's doing a tremendous job. He gets the run up the back straightaway. This is where Ian James feels he's vulnerable. Gar Robinson to the outside as Andretti is looking for more on Michael Cooper.
Gar didn't quite get the job done, but he gave it a serious run.
He went to the outside, and Ian just gave him enough room. You maybe get a sheet of paper between Gar and the edge of the road.
Ian taking a run at Lewis down into turn 1. Has to back out of it, and Cooper got through 9 and 10 extremely well, and that gives him a little breathing room with his black McLaren over the orange and white and blue entry of Andretti. Oh, and look at this for the lead into turn 3.
Well, I thought it might be a racecraft masterclass by Spencer Pumpelly in keeping that lead, but Nikolai found a way through. Not easy to do. Had to really roll a lot of speed through turn 2 to make that happen into turn 3. Spencer probably thinking of the big picture as well.
Oh, and Nikolai he carried speed through 5B, didn't he? He really, and he has to, because this is where he's vulnerable. This will be fascinating.
It's like Jaws.
Exactly.
Here comes Spencer. He's going to go to the outside. He's probably going to clear him. Nikolai's going to take it in super deep. Spencer will probably swing across and take that inside lane. There he goes.
And by the time they get to the turning point at 9, Nikolai's all over him again.
Yeah, well, then you got to think about maybe don't show it right now.
Whoa.
He does it. I was thinking save that for the end of the race, Nikolai, because Spencer's going to be recognizing you can make that move.
I wonder if Nikolai I just need to be in front for a few more corners, trying to get a little bit of a margin built up.
Great point. Now, this is his sector.
Yep.
He can probably gap Spencer by about 6 car lengths by the time they get to Moss through here. This is that previous lap. Spencer, a little twitch there, looks pretty good. Nikolai just takes it in super deep.
See those gloves on that wheel. Just Looks like hundreds of minute little corrections, and
Look at the gap.
yeah.
Is it going to be enough? The pass by Spencer up the straightaway will be happening a lot later than the lap before. Great point, Greg, about him making that move into White's corner and enabling to carry all of his speed through 1, 2. Gap Spencer a little bit more.
Oh, I don't know if it's going to be enough. And that train behind them, a lot farther back, but also compelling.
Cue the soundtrack.
Yeah, but this is it. Is Nikolai going to be able to hang on here? Hopefully we'll get a look at turn 8 with those leaders heading into it. That's the key moment here.
Robinson's
Here he goes.
He's
Look at
cleared him. Yeah, there's a big delta in speed up there. About 15K.
That's huge.
You can't make that crossbow that wide.
As we continue to watch this absolutely fascinating cat and mouse game, let's check in with Ryan.
Sure, we're standing by with Jake Bailey, who is the crew chief for Nikolai Elganian. You've been on the radio. What has he said about this duel he's locked into right now?
He's not saying much. He's staying super focused on keeping with Pirelli. They have a super good battle going on right now, a little cat and mouse game. But we're looking forward to a good, solid race between the two of us, and hopefully we can get in front and stay in front.
This car has been fast all weekend long. What is it about this track that suits your car?
There's not a lot of straightaways. It's a lot of turns. It's a high-speed turn course, which benefits us. We're a slower car, but we can carry the speed through the turn. So that helps us out compared to the bigger, heavier cars.
Is Nikolai coming up with a plan for the final laps if this thing stays neck and neck like we're seeing right now?
Oh, yes. Our plan is to keep on it as hard as we can through all the turns to help our car out. We're on the brakes. We're keeping everything good, nice and tight. It's going to be a tight race.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Who's the cat and who's the mouse here?
Exactly, exactly. And, you know, if he can't get around him, Nikolai's next best bet has got to be to just continue to hound Spencer, try and have him run those Pirellis off a little bit more. But, boy, did he build a gap that time.
Yeah, he really did. That was a massive difference.
Yeah, Spencer had already reset fast lap and taken it at a 124.1. He might even have a better one in the books this time. Opening that margin up. Let's see what kind of a time he turns here.
Bit of an issue with timing and scoring right now, so we can't give you updates on those lap times.
He did not, yeah, he did. He turned to 124.123. It wasn't by a bunch, but he did improve it just a little bit. And then here's this battle. Robinson has now gone around on James. Those are the 2 points leaders. So those two identical looking Camaros with the white hoods and the orange noses. The second of those 2 points tied for the lead is Gar Robinson with the guy he just passed.
Lewis looks to the inside there. And that allows his teammate Robinson to be all over the back of him as he's gotten around Ian James' championship leaders really neck and neck right here. Where the Camaros are going to be a little bit stronger than the Panos, I think, up this Mario Andretti straightaway. Can Robinson get the draft on his teammate? And how aggressive will Shane Lewis be in defending? See the gap established there by the Camaros over the Panos.
It looks like Stavely's G3 Ian Lacey Racing Mustang has come alive again as he's closing back in on this battle. It's
He
interesting.
just had a moment and maybe he's got off and got some marbles on his tires or in the dirt somewhere. We didn't see it.
Robinson not good through 10, and James taking a look down into 1. In the battle of the point leaders in the 72, the team car Lewis in front of Robinson comes in 6th in the points. All right, here we go. Once again, Elganian has closed it up.
Yeah, and you can see there Spencer not giving such a big entry into turn 3. And they're both learning. Do you know what I mean? Nikolai's learning about Spencer and where he's placing that race car. Spencer is adjusting on the fly, so to speak, in terms of recognizing now he will know where that KTM crossbow has the advantage.
Well, I tell you, Nikolai, he's able to roll a lot of speed through Moss and gets a great run out of it, but he just does not have. As soon as they start accelerating up that hill, the Porsche has the legs right now by a fair amount. Spencer really opens that margin up.
You can hear Nikolai just on the gas, just hammer down through there. This has to be a super fun sector in this machine. Spencer has the track position, he has the lead.
Here is this battle. Cooper just continuing to maintain that margin. Andretti in the McLaren, the second of the two, the orange, white, and blue machine, leading in the AM category.
He was eating up that curb through the apex of turn one there, Jared Andretti. Nikolai. Spencer had a massive lead as they crossed the stripe. Over half a second, and it's gone by turn 3.
And you're right, Nikolai's line now much more quote-unquote traditional into Moss, isn't it? He keeps it a lot more tight down through 4.
What a chess match. You can just imagine the permutations going through the lead 2 drivers' minds in terms of how they line up for these last 20 minutes of the race. Tire degradation, will that be a factor? Will the balance stay on both of those cars? Will someone's car stay stronger than the others here towards the end?
And this is interesting. Lewis in the lead of those lead car, the 74 Ranch Resort Camaros, finally has a little bit of breathing room back to teammate and co-points leader Gar Robinson. And that's going to allow Lewis now to maybe not worry about what's behind him and start to attack on the McLarens up front. Looks possible.
But watch this. There's a much smaller gap. Look at the speed Alganian takes through there compared to Spencer.
It's just remarkable.
Yeah, he is close. He needs to just time this run. He needs a little bit of a gap so he can just accelerate off the corner with a bit more momentum.
Here he comes.
To the inside.
And for Spencer, it's got to have, be some solace, isn't it, to know, okay, he got to run. I don't want to risk contact. I'll let him through because I'm pretty confident by the time we get to 8, I can be back in the lead.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty calm and cool there because you're right. He knows he can just turn up the wick here on this back straightaway and take off. Even from that delta of maybe 3 or 4 car lengths coming off Moss, you know by the time he crests the hill, he'll be alongside him.
And here he comes. And he clears them before they even get to the top of the hill.
Well, Nikolai's probably close enough here where he can even think about another move into that final corner. Just working with the gaps.
Oh, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, he was committed.
Here he comes.
He was committed to that 2 corners before he got there.
Yeah.
Even though the opportunity didn't look quite as inviting by the time he got there, he was already going for it.
And the only issue he's going to have, Spencer recognized what was happening, was able to open the wheel up, and when you're side by side coming out, the horsepower advantage to the Porsche is going to give Spencer the run into 1, yes?
Well, yeah, it will, and for Spencer, he's recognized, and we saw him a couple of laps ago, didn't open up the door as much into the brake zone here for turn 3, took more of the middle of the road. You notice there in at White's corner, the final corner, he didn't give Alganian as much room, so when you get down the last couple of laps or so, that's going to change the dynamic. James, a big move down to the inside of Gar Robinson. 2 championship leaders going hard at it. A little wiggle coming off. A little bit more steering input than normal coming through 3 and loosened up the rear a bit.
Yeah, he stuck it down there and had to somehow work his way in between those 2 Camaros in the exit. And Shane Lewis, pretty experienced driver, recognized it, and here we go. And boy, James, that fast is all over the back of Lewis as well. But as you pointed out, doesn't really quite have the straight line to run with those guys and make a pass.
Just really trying to get his tuck up underneath the silhouette of that Camaro as he could to get the draft and the slipstream effect. Still gets gapped a little bit. The car seems to be working well. Andretti still keeping Michael Cooper honest there for the final podium position.
As we watch the attack here, the attempted attack by Ian James. Very busy Ryan Marine in pit lane. What's up?
We wanted to check in and get the other side of this battle for the lead. Weston Farmer is the team manager for TRG. You've been listening to Spencer. What's the radio communication been like?
He's frustrated in the corners for sure. That Expo's real light and is really fast through the corners. We've got him on the top speed. Their tire deg, I'm afraid the longer this race goes, the faster they're going to get. So he's just holding on for dear life right now.
Is he coming up with a strategy for how he can get in front and stay in front on that final lap?
He hasn't mentioned a strategy. I think he's just driving the tires off that thing. We just hope they hold up.
I know that you've had some near misses this year, a little bit of disappointment. Even a podium finish, that would be a nice boost, right?
Oh, that'd be great. After VIR, we struggled a lot there. So a podium would really, a podium would be really nice this week.
Hey, good luck the rest of the way. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No problem there for the number 19 of Sean Quinlan. That's the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW. And as a corner worker, you really appreciate the driver when he self-cleans,
Right.
as they say. And he just backed it into a safety area there. Or is trying to. Again, it's a matter of angles here. Lewis starting to hound Andretti, and I think it's partly because of the pace of Ian James behind him. Lewis is understanding things are a bit more urgent here. And we've said it many times, Andretti leading in the AM category, so it's not a class battle. However, for the overall, the pro drivers, you're scored on the overall in terms of points. So right now, Andretti not only leading the AM category, he's stealing points from these pros behind him.
Yeah, but right now it's like match playing golf between Robinson and James. They can see each other. They're fighting each other as Robinson gets a big run. Takes a little look down to the inside and made Ian think about it, and he missed his marks a little bit at turn in, but manages to keep it together. High-speed sections of the racetrack. If you just miss it a little bit before you know it, you're in the gray zone. Stavely definitely hanging with this pack. Just as we thought from qualifying, top two had a big delta over the rest of the field. Then there's a real fight and tight pack here for the next six as Robinson looks to the inside once again. A little bit similar scenario between Alganian and Pumpelly, between Robinson and Ian James there with the dynamic.
Fascinating battles everywhere here, but Pumpelly continues to lead overall from Alganian and Cooper. Andretti continues to lead the AM category in the 4th overall spot. Andretti not able to do anything just yet with Cooper, who hangs on to 3rd, but just to put it all in perspective, such as the pace of the guys up front, you just saw flash out of screen, it's about 8 seconds back to this battle for 3rd. But it is a fascinating battle for 3rd at that.
And you look at Andretti, he runs a slightly different line to Michael Cooper up ahead. And look at this. Ian James, a big run on Shane Lewis. As he looked to the flank, and that almost opened up the door again for Gar Robinson. A look down to the inside.
Look at the move. Late move by Lewis.
Andretti responds. He gets back to the inside. It's going to be tight there. He forces him wide. Ian James takes advantage, gets by the Camaro. Can he get by the McLaren as well?
Yeah, that was an aggressive repass by Andretti, and it slowed both he and Lewis up big time.
Is there a little touch there almost?
Almost.
Where is the Camaro going to go? He's blocked.
Oh, and Robinson, yeah, elected to go with Andretti there.
Still clears James.
Yeah, that was what he was hoping would happen. So Gar Robinson, the guy who really took advantage of that, came into that corner in the 7th spot. Now sits 5th. Oh, but Ian James gets a run out of 10, tries to get the nose down to the inside.
Awesome racing, great respect by everyone there, hard. They're almost touching at times. I think James and Andretti may have had a little brush coming up the Andretti straightaway appropriately enough.
And it gives you an idea of when you get into those defensive and counter pass moves, how much it slows you up. Look at the margin Cooper has now. Back to this battle in 3rd.
Yeah, a couple of seconds just like that. Robinson now, new competitor to focus on. He hasn't really been right behind Andretti so far today, so he's now got to discover where that McLaren is strong.
I think Gar has officially rediscovered his love for this track.
Oh, look at that. A little touch there by James. Just releases it enough to not turn him. Got into it between 5A and 5B. Robinson, a big run on Andretti. Clears him. What happened to Jarrett there coming off a Moss corner? Some kind of slip or glitch.
Look at Lewis for a minute thinking about 3 abreast. And he's now trying to decide, where do I go here? Oh, and James the outside through 8. If he can make it stick here, he's got the inside of 9.
Beautiful. Andretti goes with him a little sideways there. He looks to the inside for 10, but James clears him. That was fantastic.
He and James, what a joy to watch this man race. You know, the speed, but also just the racecraft. Absolutely fantastic.
Just having a feel for those cars. You can't always see them. You can't always see a car in your mirrors. Just having that feel, that natural feel for where your competitor is on your flank.
Now, can Robinson and James run down Cooper? It was interesting when Gar goes by, they came in here tied for the point lead. James, I'm going with them. We are going to keep this fight going here, and we'll see what they can do about Cooper there in the black McLaren, just flashing out of frame as we are heading into our final 10 minutes.
St. Louis has got to wonder what just happened here over the last couple of laps. He was looking super strong, battling for that 4th position, has been dropped to 7th with that little bobble coming off this corner, Moss.
Ian James trying to run a hugely wide line, knowing he's got nobody attacking from behind through Moss to get a better run onto the Andretti straightaway. All right, watch this here.
Little touch there, but just releases it enough before turn in.
And it looked like Andretti may have dropped his lefts on the exit here. And then this move by James.
Yeah, great respect. Great job by Jarrett as well, giving him some racing room here and not forcing the issue. See sideways there as Jarrett is just trying to hang with him.
Well, as James was on his flank all the way through turn 8, you have to wonder if running through Jarrett's mind wasn't the, well, I heard you could do that here, but I never believed it till now. And Alganian trying to get just alongside Spencer somewhere here.
He's working the wheel a lot more than he was earlier. So TRG crew chief was mentioning the fact that tire degradation, maybe the cross would be a little bit stronger. I think they're both using up those Pirelli P0s. Fun race.
It is.
At the end of this one, they'll be congratulating each other in a great duel.
Yeah, and for Nikolai, he's just had a problematic start at the wreck at St. Pete. Another much less intense one, but still an off at Long Beach. He comes in here outside of the top 10 in points in his debut year as a pro. Has always shown speed, but he needs the results. And a win would have been, would be phenomenal if he can somehow make it happen. But I think a podium will be welcomed indeed.
It will, and you can see the effect when he's right with him coming off of Moss. He gets the slipstream effect and stays relatively close, but that time he wasn't close coming off of Moss, and you can see now coming on this front straightaway, he's not as close as he has been. That'll give Spencer a little bit of confidence.
Oh, and this is what we were just talking about. Would Robinson and James be able to track down Cooper? They've done it, and they've done it quickly.
Yeah, that's, they just ran lap times about a second quicker. Alganian again to the outside of turn 3. Dangerous territory here. Spencer's not going to give him the lane. No way.
No, I was wondering if he was just going to try and throw it down to the inside of 4. Oh, late move here. He's got him on the inside.
Okay, but can he keep it? Spencer's just got to regroup here. Light the torch. Yeah, Cooper had a bad lap. You're talking about Robinson and James catching up to Michael Cooper. Cooper lost a second on that duo on that last lap to really close that pack up for the final podium spot.
He just pulls out and just blows by.
This is where Nikolai will just fly through this corner. He'll probably be in a position to have a little bit of an attack into the final one again. And what will he do on the final lap of this race if it's a cut and paste situation?
Now the question is, can he's got the inside. It's not a long straight here, and if he could flow it in, he does.
Oh, it's a problem for Spencer.
He bobbled, didn't he?
Big time.
He just couldn't get it turned down. Yeah.
What happened there with Spencer Pumpelly? looks okay now. That was really strange, Greg.
I wonder if he just had a little bit too much speed and couldn't get it turned in. He certainly
on
seems
pace, but look at this. Nikolai has really gapped him.
Watch this here now. Yeah, a little wiggle there.
Yeah, just lost the car a little bit. Had to like get out of it, and you can see Nikolai's just on his way.
Wow.
The gap now is the biggest it's ever been out of Moss Corner. Now this will be the key.
Yep.
Is this enough?
And for Nikolai also, he's got Frank Gannett up front. He wants to make sure he doesn't catch him in a spot that'll null this momentum. Ryan?
Well, let's check with Ray Sorensen. He oversees the Black Dog operation. We've seen Michael Ruddigan podium contention. Everything good from where he's sitting?
Yeah, we're hanging on there. We'll see if we can last this last 5 minutes there. The guys are coming, so we'll see if we got enough for them.
What has he said about how the car is running here late in the run as these other guys are getting closer?
He hasn't said a whole lot on the radio, which is okay. He's just doing his thing. So they were fighting behind him, and they got a little gap. Michael was able to get a little gap, but here they come. They're coming a little close. So we'll just have to see if we can hang on.
A good battle behind him as well. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you.
It almost looked to me there like Michael was struggling to get to the apex at 10.
Fighting understeer. Yeah, I saw the same thing. Just really having to work the wheel hard to get it to apex, and that just means you're waiting as well with the throttle. He's not going to be hitting the throttle as hard when he's trying to get the car to turn like that, and that allows this American muscle to catch up to the McLaren.
This is interesting. Cooper, third in the points, coming in with the co-point leaders right on his 6. And James looking again. Elganian has been able to establish a margin of about a second on Pumpelly.
And now he's hitting the first sector, so that'll be the last sector, excuse me. So
here he is. Yeah. He got through on Gannett and didn't cost him anything in terms of momentum, which was crucial. This good battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then you've still got Andretti and Lewis scrapping for that 6th spot.
Yeah, Robinson's really strong. The Camaro and the C-strap, the ponies at the end of this straightaway.
Even though Andretti lost a couple of spots here, he still is leading in the AM category.
That's where it's difficult with the dynamic when you're in a fierce battle like this. He wants the best overall position he can gather, but he's got to keep focused on that class win as well.
Yeah, the guy he's most focused on right now sits 2 cars behind him in that number 12 Mustang of Stavely.
Now for tomorrow, Pumpelly has the fastest lap at a 24.1. Again, fast lap today determines the grid positions for tomorrow.
Cooper is just shallowing his entries everywhere. He can't leave any kind of an opening for Robinson right now, can he? James.
Well, he's looking for opportunity. He's just thinking
is.
if Gar goes for it as he looks to the inside of the McLaren right there. Can he suddenly take advantage like he did a few laps ago when Andretti was going hard at it with Shane Lewis?
Looks like James actually gets a little better run out of Moss.
Yeah, the punch off the corner is really good. It's just that very tail end of the straightaway. He's in the draft right now. He leaves about a car length there. And they get to the top and into the turn-in point for turn 8. It's a little bit bigger.
Very nice move there by Frank Gannett. Realized that the overall leaders are continuing to come by. Just moved out of the way, let them all go through. Frank's already had a good start to his weekend with a podium in the Sprint X race yesterday. His new co-driver in that category.
Big run by Ian James. Almost gets into the back of Gar Robinson, but manages it nicely.
Gar just had enough to be able to stay up front in that 2-car battle into turn 1.
James wants this position badly. Oh, Robinson really wide. Missed his marks there a little bit, feeling the heat from behind. He's feeling the pressure. James down to the inside. There's no gap there. He had to get on the brakes really hard to avoid getting into the back of the Camaro.
Yeah, Robinson sensed what James might be doing there and left that car. Now James on the flank, trying the outside of 4. This is brave territory. Is he going to get it done? He does. But can he hold it now into Moss? Gar cuts back underneath. There's a little wiggle. I don't think there was a touch.
That was an awesome series of corners by these two boys going hard at it, the championship leaders.
And they still are side by each. As
Oh,
they
they
head on, there's a
touch.
touch.
That was almost a big one. You get turned at that high speed up the Andretti straightaway. Gar's got to give him some room.
Yeah, that
Gar's
won't-
squeezing him a little bit. That gives Andretti the run.
Yeah, that won't be looked at favorably. And it brings Lewis now up alongside.
Ian is going to be frustrated by that as we hit the last lap.
The margin 1.7 seconds for Elganian. He was able to get through, but this whole battle behind Cooper now. And that exchange has given Cooper some breathing room once again, Cal.
Yeah, and Andretti's up to fourth, as you can see.
Yep.
Tell you what, I think if Ian James gets on the tail end of that Camaro, we could see some action. I'm not sure he's going to be happy about the little squeeze job that Gar Robinson gave him.
I would agree. I'm thinking the officials might not either.
Well, it's such an unbelievable half a lap to get to that point, and then up the straightaway, it was really close. And James is strong for the first half of the straightaway. Gar just needed to give him a couple of inches more room. I'm sure if he just misjudged it or was intentional to block him.
Well, I mean, he certainly did not. He squeezed him all the way to the grass. As you said, whether it was intentional or not. But now the issue is they've caught the back of Andretti, and that has slowed Robinson up, and James is close. Time has expired. We're on our final lap. Lots of drama to play out here. Nikolai Elganian, is he on the cusp of his first ever pro win over a driver the caliber of a Spencer Pumpelly? What a story. And Elganian on the throttle. The Marco Polo Motorsports Muellerized crossbow from KTM takes the win with Pumpelly second. But what about this scrap? Here comes James. He's going for it. You know that. There's the touch. Watch to the inside.
Watch Lewis. He's going to get a run on his teammate.
And he nips him.
I knew Ian was going to go for it if he could. Oh, look at this, argy-bargy after the finish. Gar Robinson is not happy with Ian James for that move.
Yeah, there's going to be discussions after this one, certainly.
Whew. That was a wild one. I love it.
Yeah, just an exceptional run to the finish here. And looking at the scoring here, the margin of victory about 1.6 seconds. Cooper third, Andretti fourth. And as you would imagine, and we talked about it, multiple incidents now between the 74 of Robinson and the 50 of James.
Be a lot of paper printed on that one.
Exactly. Well, and you know, very early in the race, remember that run up the straight, you wondered, was there a little touch? And I wonder if that wasn't what just sort of kicked everything off, if they felt, if there was.
I think the emotions were running high in both of those cockpits.
Yeah. And for Robinson, he found speed, as we said. He didn't qualify well. It hasn't looked comfortable, but he found speed in that race. And those two came in tied for the points. And here's the final corner move.
I mean, Ian was there.
Yeah, oh, he's clearly alongside.
Yeah, he's clearly alongside, and Gar didn't want to give it to him. So I'm not sure if the touch after the start finish line from Gar on Ian was intentional or whether Ian just backed out of it, but quite a bit of retaliation to me.
Well, we'll let the far smarter brains of race control deal with that, right?
We'll have a coffee.
Exactly. But how about the run by Elganian? I mean, he got there
so
early,
deserved, yeah.
had to give it up again just due to the straight line of that Porsche.
Key moment was that bobble for Spencer in turn one that just created the gap where Nikolai could just run his lap times, and that won him the race.
And Andretti, superb job. Fourth most of the race, dropped to sixth for a while, back to fourth with all of that battling that was unfolding, winning in the AM category. Stavely, 8th overall, but still second in AM. Oh, yeah, they're still John, aren't they?
Yeah.
In the background
James
there.
pulling up alongside Gar Robinson, trying to determine what was going on.
And Alan Brynjolfsson had a very quietly effective race, didn't he? Up into third. Yeah, a pro winner. And Jason Bell, we talked earlier, he had his best qualifying here, 5th, ends up 4th in AM.
There's Spencer. He's coming to give him some congrats. That was an awesome Awesome battle.
That was fantastic.
Fantastic.
I think I just heard Nikolai say that was the best race of my life. Thank you so much.
I think Ian and Gar are going to have a similar chat and keep their helmets on.
They'll be patting each other just a bit more firmly. Oh, fantastic.
Well, it was early in the season, Greg, but I think that was the race of the year so far.
No question. And in a variety of different areas. I mean, that battle between Elganian and Pumpelly, and then that group, Andretti, James, Lewis, Robinson, Stavely, Cooper for a bit before he was able to break free. I mean, it was just superb everywhere you looked.
And Lewis did pip his teammate Gar, so Gar got 2 positions there from the last corner apex to the line.
All right, well, we know he is going to be a bit elated, and it is well earned. Ryan with our winner.
Well, a pro win for Nikolai Elganian. What a battle you had with Spencer Pumpelly as well. What are your emotions?
I'm exhausted.
Just exhausted?
I'm speechless. I honestly don't know what to say. It was by far the best race of my career, and I can't thank Spencer enough for being such a gentleman driver. I mean, we went back and forth a few times, and we never made contact, so big hats off to him. And you know, I couldn't have been here without Marco Polo Motorsports and Mueller Eyes. They put the car together, and my God, it's amazing. Also, big thanks to Colin Altamari for my workout. They let me come out here, so it's a nice little advantage with them. But the race went well. We had a bit of a bad start because of the cold tires, but I just kept with Pumpelly until he pulled away from the pack and decided to start to push him a little bit. And for the last 4 minutes, I gave it everything I had.
For a driver of Spencer's level of accomplishment to come up and congratulate you after a race, what does that feel like?
I'm very honored. I grew up watching Pumpelly when I was a kid, and I never thought I'd be, first of all, racing against him, but competing at the same type of level with him. So, I couldn't be happier right now. I'm literally shaking.
You've earned it. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, something of a dream come true, and it's emotional when you've just realized a dream like that, isn't it?
Special.
Yeah,
it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and he was breathing hard, and I mean, he was up on that wheel.
To get a win, but to get it in that way is magic.
And here's a look at some of the highlights, and Elganian from pole able to hang on to it. Cooper, a classically aggressive start.
As was Andretti.
Yes.
Elganian managed to maintain that track position through this opening lap until the back straightaway, and Spencer cleared him. And drama here for Fastnart. He just got a little bit wrong coming off a Moss corner, got in that mud and clouded the wall.
An interesting little moment here, just a little nudge. You wonder if that was maybe the start of things.
Yeah, start of things to come.
And it was just going to get more intense after that. This beautiful move, James just willing the Panos around the outside of turn 8. That is bravado.
This is one of the best highlight reels of the year.
Yeah.
Just some fantastic racing and dicing going on.
Was able to get that pass done, then set out after the 74. And then this move here, Elganian.
Little bobble right there. That was the defining moment of this race because the gap was suddenly established. Nikolai didn't look back.
And to the line he comes and gets his first pro win. Absolutely fabulous run. And then this little battle here, last lap, last corner.
You're going to feel aggrieved when someone makes that move on you, but I think it was totally legit by Ian to make that move.
Well, I mean, as Robinson turned in, the nose of James' car is already in front of Robinson. So, I mean, he certainly knew he was there. He was just trying to do anything he could at that point. And wow, what a race. What a finish, and we get another one. We get to watch these guys go at it again this weekend in these doubleheader formats. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, round 6. The Pirelli GT4 America Sprint Championship in the books. For Calvin and Ryan, I'm Greg Kramer. Thanks very much, and we'll see you later today.